Should I do it?
Do not come.
I'm gonna do it.
Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Pleb is back. In tonight's report, we're going to cover what's going on in Canada here as Botgate has blown up into a full-blown scandal where the Liberals are trying to distract people with bots when Trudeau got busted letting an ISIS fighter into Canada. Also tonight in Canada, Doug Ford pleads with the people of Ontario to stop pooping on the beaches. Also tonight, we'll be covering the latest from Tampon Tim Walz, who is a full-blown communist, and I have all the receipts. And in our last story tonight, we're going to cover what's going on in the UK, as now people can be arrested for retweeting things. You won't want to miss tonight's story. Stick around. Before we start tonight's report, just a quick reminder. Are you fed up of the bias of the mainstream media? Are you looking for actual real news? Well, if you are, smash subscribe on my channel because I'm going to show you the news the mainstream media won't. Welcome to your Tuesday report. We got a lot to cover here today, but tonight's story will start in Canada, where things just continue getting crazier and crazier. Now, after yesterday's episode where I exposed all the Trudeau bots in the last couple of years, now all of a sudden the left suddenly cares about bots now. And at yesterday's press conference, Jagmeet Singh was all in on the bot train and accused Pierre of using bots.
We're raising the concern because it's pretty obvious when you look at the number of messages that were identical and that were shared from people that live in places not just around Canada but around the world. It's starting to raise a lot of questions, and people said, well, this looks pretty sketchy that you've got a whole host of messages like this. And so we're saying, well, the Conservative Party should respond. Was it them? Was it Pierre Poilievre? Is he hiring farm bots to do this type of amplification? Is that what they're doing? Or if it's not, then we need an investigation into where this is coming from. So that's why we're calling tomorrow. We'll be writing a letter to Elections Canada and to the Ethics Commissioner to investigate these bot farms, to investigate where they're coming from, who's responsible. And if it is a Conservative Party, they got to fess up. And if it's not, then we need to get to the bottom of it. Is it a third-party advertiser? Well, that needs to be registered then. Or is it foreign interference? Either way, we need to know what it is. It's quite serious.
I'm all for an investigation. Let's figure out where these bots are coming from. And now with Jagmeet Singh on the bot attack, apparently the media now care about this too, all of a sudden. Look at the media hounds here. Check this out.
I'd like to respond to these bot farms to drum up support for Poilievre.
What? Okay.
Bot farms to drum up support for Poilievre.
Absolutely rich here coming from the parliamentary press gallery. I find it funny how the media all of a sudden cares about bots because it's in Pierre Poilievre's comments section. Where was this press gallery and media in the last year and a half when we've been bringing up the bots in Trudeau's comments section? How rich? Just look at these bot comments here. I mean, they've been going strong since 2022, but this latest round of screenshots here, they're all from 2023. This has been around for a while. But why is the media all of a sudden care about bots? Can you see why they're not trusted anymore? And look at this. Now Liberal Party MPs are writing letters to Elon Musk over Botgate, saying following last weekend's coordinated bot campaign that promoted Pierre Poilievre's rally in Kirkland Lake, and given the threat that online manipulation and disinformation poses to Canada's public discourse, my Northern Ontario colleagues and I have written to Elon Musk. Why don't they care about Trudeau's bots? I mean, they've been going since 2022. Now they care? Now all of a sudden they care about bots. I mean, look at this. We have receipts on the Trudeau bots here. Look, they've been around since October 2022. Yes, they've been around for like 21 months already, but now the liberals care? Do you see this hypocrisy? Now, this whole bot thing is a giant distraction from something I'm going to show you after this. But look here, even the liberals are trying to play the distraction game with the bots, as Mark Holland was talking about it today at a press conference.
And making sure that care is deeply affordable.
And just to follow up on another topic, there's been conversation in recent days about the use of bot farms on social media. I'm just wondering, from your perspective, is that something you're concerned about heading into the next election? And do you think the federal government or the Liberal Party needs to do more to try to combat the prevalence of these bot accounts?
Well, I don't know about you, Rachel, but I mean, you go online. I don't stay very long. It's pretty toxic, and we wouldn't talk to each other on the street like that. And there are.
I mean, you literally destroyed our country, Mark. I mean, when I go on social media, it's not toxic for me because I'm not screwing over Canadians.
Certainly forces in the world that are autocratic and seek to undermine democracy, who want to fuel divisions that are between us and get us to talk to each other in incredibly disrespectful and cruel ways. I think whether or not it's a bot or a human, when somebody is speaking without humanity, when somebody is hiding behind, username 12768, and they give you their opinion, and that opinion is toxic and makes people feel bad, then we have to think about as a society why that's allowed. It took us a long time with newspapers and television to figure out, how it worked. And there were some dark forces that used those new mediums in very nefarious ways. And I think we're seeing that here. There's too much toxic negativity.
You screwed up the country. They're not taking any responsibility. They're saying we're toxic while Canadians can't even afford groceries. While Canadians, well, there's a giant housing crisis in our country. Everything's screwed up, immigration. But yes, it's the toxic forces online. No, get yourself a mirror, Mark.
An opinion is fine, but the cruelty with which it's being unleashed should be rejected. And I think we have to be very circumspect, unfortunately, about what we see online. There are forces that are running these bots and trying to overwhelm the internet to give an appearance of a particular opinion or a consensus around something that simply isn't true, and at worst is seeking to undermine our democracy.
Okay. These are the exact same people who paid for bots to make ArriveCan one of the most reviewed apps in the entire App Store during the pandemic. Yes, this same government has been using bots forever, but now they're clearly projecting because they're trying to distract you from this. The timing is absolutely perfect here, as Trudeau was just busted allowing a violent ISIS fighter into this country. Yes, this whole bot thing is a distraction from this. Watch.
For joining us. There are more questions than answers tonight about a Toronto man accused of plotting a terror attack in the name of the so-called Islamic State and how he was able to immigrate to Canada. Critics are calling it a failure in border security. Our Ottawa bureau chief Mercedes Stevenson joins us now. Mercedes, what have we learned?
Neithu, the federal government is refusing to explain how a Toronto man was able to immigrate to Canada despite allegedly having taken part in ISIS violence overseas in Iraq before he moved to Canada. Ahmed Fouad Mustafa El-Didi is facing multiple terror charges in relation to a planned machete and axe attack in Toronto. El-Didi was also charged with aggravated assault on behalf of the so-called Islamic State, which the RCMP say took place abroad in 2015. Violence that multiple national security sources say was in part documented in an ISIS propaganda video released in 2015 showing the torture and dismemberment of an ISIS prisoner by a middle-aged man with a sword. Global News has viewed the video that...
Oh yeah, one of Trudeau's finest. He just dismembered someone with a machete and live streamed it to an audience of jihadists. One of Trudeau's finest imports.
Multiple multiple national security sources say is believed to show LDD hacking off a prisoner's hands and feet while the man is tied to a crucifix in the desert. Global News is not showing the video due to its graphic content and is not identifying the sources who spoke to us who have direct knowledge of the investigation but are not authorized to speak publicly. Ahmed LDD was also arrested along with his son Mustafa in a Richmond Hill hotel. Sources say they had just finished taping a so-called martyrdom video in which they appeared with an axe and a machete as well as an ISIS flag.
Oh, yeah, just recording a martyrdom video in a motel in Richmond Hill.
So, Mercedes, what does this seem to say about the immigration system?
Well, a lot of questions being raised. We still don't know how or when LDD came to Canada because the federal government is citing privacy in court proceedings, refusing to release that information. We did learn that the RCMP got one thing wrong. LDD's 26-year-old son, Mustafa, is not a Canadian citizen, as they had stated. Kelly Sundenberg is an immigration enforcement officer who is now retired and become a professor. He says this case is deeply concerning and not the first time security screening in immigration has failed.
This is yet another alarm bell going off about the woeful lacking border security we have in our country.
Sundenberg says the system is under-resourced and that there's a lack of political will to fix it.
There's a lot of people who could have lost their lives because of politicking, and that should really alarm Canadians.
Insane.
The Conservative opposition is calling for the government to disclose what happened in this case.
We need to know how somebody came into the country after being depicted on camera, allegedly doing unspeakable acts. And then we have other questions. How did this person get citizenship?
We have no standards. That's how he got citizenship. Are you surprised?
And how is this person not on national security sources' radar before the beginning of July, Neithu, which is when the RCMP said they first became aware of the concern? So lots of questions for the government here in Ottawa about our security.
Indeed, there are. All right, Mercedes Stevenson in Ottawa. Thanks, Mercedes.
You heard that right, folks. He literally crucified someone in the desert, hacked their hands and feet off on a live stream and broadcasted it to the world. And guess what? Trudeau said no problem. Welcome to Canada. Unbelievable. It's not about the bots, folks. It's about the ISIS fighter who got through the border. This is what they're trying to distract you from. But the signs were all there. They've always been there. Look what happened in my hometown over the weekend here, where there are now open calls for jihad in the streets of Montreal. Yes, look at this.
أن نبقى الأوفياء لغزة ومقاومتها. نقسم بالله العظيم.
We will remain loyal to Gaza. We allowed them into our country as guests, and their loyalty isn't to Canada, it's to Gaza. Right.
نقسم بالله العظيم. نقسم بالله العظيم. أن نبقى الأوفياء لفلسطين وأحرارها.
Loyal to Palestine. Not one Canadian flag.
لا نبدل ولا نستكين. لا نبدل ولا نستكين. على درب الشهداء والمجاهدين.
Oh, now they want to martyr themselves. Nice people.
إلى أن نلقى الله على ذلك. والله على ما نقول شهيد. والله على ما نقول شهيد. تكبير. تكبير.
Allahu Akbar.
تكبير. إنه لجهاد.
It's for jihad. It's for jihad. This is what they're screaming in the streets of Montreal. Seriously?
إنه لجهاد. إنه لجهاد.
Yes, folks. I think the signs were all there. This is who Justin Trudeau's allowing into Canada. People who are parading in the streets every weekend, screaming for jihad. I mean, this has gone absolutely insane. And it's not just the jihadists that have gotten out of control, as now the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, is asking his fellow Ontarians or Canadian newcomers to please stop pooping on the beach.
I think people are respectful enough that, folks, don't be pooping on the beach. Simple as that, man.
This has to be made into a shirt. This is the quote of 2024 here. I mean, they were gaslighting us for weeks saying that it wasn't happening. But guess what? Now Doug Ford's admitting it at a press conference, asking his fellow citizens not to poop on the beach. We truly live in a clown world.
I think people are respectful enough that, folks, don't be pooping on the beach. Simple as that, man.
But Doug Ford, who are those folks that are pooping on the beach? Say it. Say the quiet part out loud. Say it.
I think people are respectful enough that, folks, don't be pooping on the beach. Simple as that, man.
This is the quote of the year right here, folks. Yes, we literally need to tell people, our newcomers in the country, not to poop on beaches. But you want to know what's pretty wild about this situation? Look at this. The government of Canada sent a $20 million donation to help with accelerated sanitation in northern Ghana. Yes, our tax dollars went to fund anti-open defecation education across the world. I mean, zoom in here. Look at this. Sponsored by the government of Canada and UNICEF, saying that beaches are not toilets. Don't do it here. How wild is that? So our government is sending millions and millions of dollars abroad to teach people not to poop on beaches. But what is our government doing? Well, they're allowing people into this country who poop on our beaches. What the heck is going on? Now let's move things over to the United States, because I'm absolutely fascinated by Tim Walz, the new VP pick for Kamala, because he's just like Justin Trudeau. Tim Walz and Justin Trudeau are both woke lunatics who both believe that tampons belong in men's washrooms. I mean, Tim Walz put them in elementary school boys' bathrooms across the state of Minnesota. This is how crazy this guy is. But it's not just the tampons that make this guy crazy. I mean, look at his first appearance behind Kamala last night. This guy is all over the place.
Good evening.
Woo!
Good evening.
Look at him. He's like Chrystia Freeland. Look at his face. This guy's he's not a real person.
Good evening.
What is he doing? Is he sniffing her like Joe Biden? Is that a little sniffing going on here? What a weirdo.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Oh, man.
Good evening.
It's funny how the Democrats call J.D. Vance weird. I mean, this guy is absolutely weird. But not only is he weird, he's also a full-blown communist.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
He wants to censor speech he doesn't agree with, just like Trudeau or Keir Starmer in the UK. And this man is also woke, like really, really woke, to the point where he talks about his white privilege on stage. Look at this.
We pat ourselves on the back sometimes that we acknowledge we have the worst racial disparities. I understand that the privilege I've been given as a white man and the privilege of sitting in the office of governor, that privilege had better be used to not just talk about the problem, but to solve the problem.
This dude is an absolute fraud. And now we're finding out that his military record is a fraud too, because when Tim Walz was asked to go serve in Iraq overseas, he basically dropped out of the army and let his unit go without him.
United States Marine Corps, when the United States of America asked me to go to Iraq to serve my country, I did it. I did what they asked me to do it, and I did it honorably, and I'm very proud of that service. When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the army and allowed his unit to go without him, a fact that he's been criticized for aggressively by a lot of the people that he served with. I think it's shameful.
I do too think it's shameful. Sounds to me like another case of stolen valor. And now online, Tim Walz's reputation is absolutely cooked, as the internet has found out that he put tampons in elementary school boys' washrooms, and Hillary Clinton is coming out to the rescue. Look at this. Hillary Clinton is now sharing the Tampon Tim meme. I mean, I don't think she gets the joke here, but saying how nice of the Trump campaign to help publicize Governor Tim Walz's compassionate and common sense policy of providing free menstrual products to students in Minnesota public schools. Let's do this everywhere. Look, I don't care if you're putting tampons in women's washrooms. The problem we have is when you're putting it in the men's washrooms. It makes no sense. But it's actually pretty funny because the memes are coming in on his love for tampons in men's washrooms, with this one saying, "How do you do, my fellow folksy Midwesterners who give tampons to little boys?" Or this one here. Someone here in need of a tampon? Oh, Tampon Tim. And the story gets even wilder now about Tim Walz because we're finding out that he had a DUI. Yes, he was going 95 in a 55. So he has a charge for DUI, and Kamala has, well, DEI. And the Kamala Harris Tim Walz campaign has been busted this week trying to buy off influencers. Now, after this historic moment this week where Aiden Ross, the top streamer in the world, streamed with President Trump, well, guess what? The Kamala Harris campaign is now reaching out to Kai Cenat, which is another massive streamer, because apparently they're jealous of Trump's stream with Aiden Ross. And here is what Kai Cenat had to say. Why is he streaming in a U-Haul van?
Be in a penthouse in New York. Then on top of that, I got the fucking Secret Service calling me 5 times, nigga!
What?
I don't know goddamn shit about politics, man. I don't know. Hey, I'm gonna keep it a stack. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I don't give a fuck. Okay? Listen, I had a bad bitch that I've been trying to get on for like the last 3 years, the last 2 years that I haven't spoke to in like a year. I haven't spoke to this girl in so goddamn long, who gonna have the audacity to text me, "We need you a part of the campaign." At first I was thinking she was talking about like a game, a video game, like a Modern Warfare game, or some shit. Or if not that, a clothing brand. I'm like, what campaign? Shorty gonna say, we're not gonna get into details. Say it right now. If there's some way, somehow, something was to go into where I do the stream of politics, I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm going to sit on my stream and say, why did you guys call me? Like, you know, I don't know. I've never did anything with politics. And these blogs are like trying to say, yo, we gotta do this shit, Kai. And it's all the top blogs. But I'm like, bro, since when did niggas...
So yes, the Kamala Harris campaign was definitely jealous of Trump and Aiden Ross's huge stream the other day, and now they're desperately trying to get streamers themselves. I just love the smell of desperation. Now let's move things over to the UK, where things are absolutely crazy with the riots the last couple of days. And Elon Musk is now calling out their leader, Keir Starmer, and asking him, why aren't all communities protected in Britain, which he's been accused of two-tier policing. Now, the media asked Keir Starmer about Elon Musk's comments, and guess what? He danced around the question like an absolute coward, like he's the real British Trudeau.
The owner of X, Elon Musk, has been tweeting over the past few days about your response to this crisis, about what's been going on. He's claimed that civil war in the UK is inevitable. He is a powerful voice. A lot of people follow him on Twitter. Are you worried about his impact, or might he have a point about some of the things he's saying?
My focus is on ensuring that our communities are safe. That is my sole focus. And I think it's very important for us all to support the police in what they're doing. I went up to Southport to speak to some of the police who had been the first responders to the terrible attack that happened. They described the scene to me and what they had to deal with when those girls were attacked. Those same officers were then attacked on their own streets later the same day. The same officers who had been the first responders. Our first duty is to support the police in a difficult exercise that they are engaged in, keeping us safe.
What's your message to Elon Musk?
Our first duty has to be to our communities to keep them safe. That is my sole focus. The police are doing a difficult job in difficult circumstances, and I think that everybody should be given their full support to ensure that we can make sure that our streets are safe and our communities feel safe and secure. That is really where the focus ought to be. That is my sole focus, and that's why I held this second Cobra meeting.
Wow, he's completely avoiding the topic of Elon Musk. And Elon Musk reacted to the video I showed on yesterday's show where the British police showed up to someone's house for a post on Facebook with Elon Musk saying, arrested for making comments on Facebook. Is this Britain or the Soviet Union? And he's not done. He's on the full UK troll train here, posting this meme saying, in 2030 for making a Facebook comment that the UK government didn't like. And Elon Musk even retweeted this here saying, we saw your meme, step outside. But it gets even crazier in the UK, and it's not just Facebook, because now the Director of Public Prosecution of England and Wales is saying that people can get arrested for simply retweeting things or resharing. Look at this.
The offence of incitement to racial hatred involves publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive, which is intended to or likely to start racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to...
Social media police, scourging, looking for things, you know, trying to arrest a grandma who retweets something they don't like. I mean, Orwellian much?
Look for this material and then follow up with identification arrests and so forth. So it's a really, really serious. People might think they're not doing anything harmful. They are, and the consequences will be visited upon them.
Wow. Unbelievable. Literally arrested for retweeting. This is nuts. And guess what? In our last clip of the night here, the media is taking things one step further, suggesting that they should just ban social media in the UK until all this civil unrest is insanity. One thing is for sure, at the end of this episode, after going through Canada, the United States, and the UK, is that we are all one. We are all one big family, fighting the same fight, fighting against the same tyrants. It doesn't matter what country you are in. The tyrants are absolutely everywhere. And hopefully we're going to win this battle, and I'm going to do my best to keep exposing it. All right, guys, that's a wrap here for today's episode. But tell me in the comments down below, did you make it this far? 30-minute video. If you made it this far, you're a legend. But tell me in the comments what you guys thought of the latest here in Canada with Botgate. Is this a distraction from the ISIS fighter being allowed into Canada? What did you think about Doug Ford actually telling his people to stop pooping on the beaches? Were you surprised by that? Tim Walz, is he just as woke as Trudeau? Also, are you guys scared about what you're seeing in the UK? Tell me in the comments down below. If you guys want to support my channel, the best way to do it is, well, you could buy a membership for $5 Canadian, or you could do the regular things like, share, comment, subscribe. That's cool too. Double P, hit us with the outro.
Hey, guys. Hey, keep up the great work. Thank you, guys. You hear that?
Stop pooping on the beaches, you degenerates. See you at the next one. Peace.